in a place called Florida. You're with Deborah K. Levi, the LadyRanger, and I went to a game the other night. It was Tampa Bay, and it was Edmonton. And I was in for the surprise of my life. Why? Because I could not believe that a Canadian team like Edmonton lost to Tampa Bay, and I want to know why. So guess who I see at this pool? A surprising guy that is from Edmonton, but he's from Alberta,
Canada.
And his name is John?
Yeah.
And his lovely wife is?
Tracy.
Tracy and John. John, tell us a little bit about the hockey and what you think and why Edmonton went down.
I think Edmonton's going through a down phase right now because of the four seasons cup. I think the leader of the team is McDavid. I think the other leader of that team wasn't in that tournament. But the reality is that when you play at that high a caliber of hockey, you're going to suffer some either a downturn or injuries. Take Matthew Tkachuk for Florida. He's out for a while. He played his heart out. Same with McDavid. They played their heart out. And the reality of that is that sometimes it takes them a little bit longer to recover, to reboot. I think the Edmonton loss is not indicative of the Edmonton talent, and the Edmonton version of their team should be in the finals like last year.
Now, you had mentioned to me before, that's why I wanted to do this interview. You said the USA you thought was a better team, and why?
Well, for the most part, the USA Hockey, since Herb Brooks, has had a plan to develop their skill set nationwide. Now, there was a saying back when I was president of Hockey Alberta.
When you were president of what?
Hockey Alberta.
You're kidding.
So,
look what I hit on, ladies and gentlemen. Get with the program.
So once the U.S., their athletes, the better athletes, the best athletes, decide that hockey is the sport that they want to play, hockey in the United States will take off like a rocket. And that's what we're seeing right now. The best athletes aren't going necessarily to football or to basketball or baseball anymore. A portion of those top elite athletes are going into hockey, and that's what you're seeing. Now, the other thing that happened in the U.S. with over 50 years of NHL players playing in the U.S. from Canada, they've all married United States girls. They've all had their families down here. Now they're coaching their grandchildren.
Right.
So that mind game, that mind spirit from the Canadian game has migrated right down into the U.S. hockey. And that's what I'm telling you. You get the best players, you get the best format, you get the best training, and you're going to have the best athlete, best teams. So I would look forward to the U.S. winning gold in the Olympics, and in the World Cup, I would think they'd win that too.
Now tell me, who do you think, out of both teams, in your opinion, was the best player for the game that I just saw the other night, which was Tampa 4 and Edmonton 1?
Well, I think in the Tampa game, probably the best player is their coach. He is by far the most intelligent hockey coach in the game right now. Look at the Team Canada results. Now, the other side of it is that the best player for the Edmonton Oilers probably didn't really play his best game. That's McDavid. I mean, he's the best player in the world.
In the world?
Oh yeah. Once he's on, he's on.
How old is he?
He's 26 years old.
What makes him the best player in the world?
You know, there's generational players, right?
Mm-hmm.
You had, generational players in hockey. You had Wayne Gretzky. You had Gordie Howe. You had, Matthew Tkachuk is a generational player. But McDavid is a generational player. So what he brings to the game is fast skating, eye-hand coordination, balance, and intelligence to the game. He's thinking faster than anybody else on the ice.
Wow.
He sees the ice. He sees the whole ice surface, and that's the difference.
Okay, so that gives me an idea of what you're very intelligent with this hockey, and obviously you wouldn't be a leader.
Out of 40 million people, I'm probably 30 million smartest.
Let me ask you this. Well, let me surprise you with this.
Okay.
I am from Connecticut. In a place called Connecticut is mine.
Yep.
My quotes. Former Yale radio broadcaster.
Yep.
Show Get With the Program.
Yep.
Variety show. And I am here passing through Florida, different spots. I meet you. Well, I have a surprise for you.
Okay.
You're never going to believe who I worked for. Guy Lafleur's aunt, Marcella Lafleur.
Well, Guy Lafleur was a generational player as well.
That, I didn't hear that name. That's why I'm asking.
Well,
You forgot about...
Guy Lafleur, Yvonne Cornwallis, Henri Richard, Rocket Richard, Kenny Dryden, Toe Blake. We're talking about a generation of the top athletes and coaches that were in a hockey program in Montreal. And John Beliveau is another one.
Listen to the names your husband has.
I know.
He is
John Guy Talbot.
on it.
Like we're talking about guys, that were just, they played the game to win. And they played as a team. And that's the secret that Florida's picked up on. Now, if you also notice one thing, Florida has red and white, just like Montreal Canadiens, and Tampa has blue and white, just like Toronto. So the powers that be called, and all these snowbirds came down to Florida, they wanted to have their own Saturday night hockey game, right? So they have a representing the Montreal colors, a representing the Toronto Maple Leaf colors. That's what they wanted to see, and that's what they've got. And if you also look at some of the estates here, you'll have farm clubs that are sponsored by Toronto, sponsored by in the East Coast League, sponsored by Montreal. Same thing. They play those games just as passionate as they're in the Maple Leaf Gardens, or I should say they're not Maple Leaf Gardens anymore, but in Montreal in their stadium. It is what it is. But hockey's a sport in Canada that every Saturday night, if half of Canada isn't watching Hockey Night in Canada, then there's something wrong with that Canadian.
What did you think was great about Guy Lafleur? Three things that stood out for you with Guy Lafleur.
He could shoot the puck as hard as Bobby Hall. He could skate as fast as anyone on the ice. He could back check and take the puck away and get the puck down the ice. But he never gave up. He was a passionate hockey player. And on top of all that, he believed in the Canadian game. He believed in Canada, just like Jean Beliveau. Probably the greatest captain of all time in hockey is Jean Beliveau and Jean Rattel, the New York Rangers. I'll tell you, those two guys were class right from the start, right to their toes. They taught every player coming into the game how to act and how to do these things. To tell you how generational Guy Lafleur was, Toe Blake made a trade with the California Golden Seals. They gave up 4 very good hockey players and a draft pick to get their number 1 pick, which would have been Guy Lafleur. And that's how he ended up in Montreal. And
Wow.
So you have to have good scouting, just the way it is.
He knows all. This is the best interview. I just love this hockey talk. And I have got to tell you something. When I was 18 years old, I'm a natural musician. I have music, it lives in me. I started it from the time I was walking, dancing, singing, playing the piano, playing instruments. I started just moving. But anyway, I ended up working in this music store in Connecticut that Marcella Lafleur and Mr. Emily married, owned, and it was called Loomis Temple of Music. And Guy Lafleur, I didn't know much about him at the time, and when I worked at the music store, Marcella would get the phone calls. Guy is on the phone, Guy is on the phone. She had the French accent. Oh my God, Guy this, Guy that. And I'm like, really? And so she got everybody all hyped up in the music store. And there was these old-fashioned people walking around like George Washington and Martha Washington selling pianos. And then you had the sheet music department, which I was running with the girls. And then I was their first teacher at Loomis Temple of Music in Guilford, Connecticut, teaching keyboard, guitar, and even singing. And this was a great store, but it was out in the boonies in Guilford, Connecticut. Nobody really knew too much because it used to be in New Haven, Connecticut. And before you know it, Guy would come down to Loomis Temple of Music, and we met him, and he was a heavy smoker.
Oh, yeah.
And he was charming, though. He would blink a lot. He would blink a lot and smoke a lot outside of the store. And I was like, oh my God. And she's like, my nephew is famous. And then I got invited to Marcelo Lafleur's home in Killingworth. And I got to go there and meet, you know, and he came down. But I didn't think anything of it. And now that he's gone, it's like, and the smoking, he just, but I never saw, okay, here's what I think of Guy. When he used to skate, there was this angle he kept himself on. There was this certain angle about Guy, and he would be like, with his back, like a, let's say, 60 degrees maybe angle, and then his head forward like some kind of a rocket or bird, or I don't know. And he would go, and I would just like, wow. That's my story about Guy.
Well, you know, he had longer hair at one time too, right? And so when he started skating, his hair would flow back.
Yes,
just
yes.
Like Bouchette, who had the long hair with Toronto Blue Jays.
Tapes, yeah.
And he was just a real, he had it all the time. But
you know his famous quote, right? Play hockey like it's your last game. Basically, that's his quote.
You know,
play hockey, play the game like it's your last game.
The only reason Don Cherry isn't a Stanley Cup champion is Guy Lafleur. The only reason.
Really?
He scored that goal in Chivas.
Anything else you want to tell the hockey world?
You know, I think it's going to be a good finish to this year. I think there's some good playoffs that are happening. I hope Matthew Tkachuk gets back into the season. I think Tampa Bay is showing that what good coaching can do with good hockey players. So I think that there's realities there. I think that there could be some surprises this year, like Ottawa, if they get in the playoffs, they're a good team. Winnipeg, if Hellebuck, American goaltender, if he can stay hot, I'll tell you, Winnipeg could be a team that wins the Stanley Cup. But I look at Edmonton. I think that I think Vancouver's got a good shot. But I think Las Vegas Golden Knights, they have a good shot too. They're again good coaching and some good hockey players. Yeah, it stands to reason they'll be there.
John, do you know who is my friend that I met him in a magazine?
I have no idea.
Henrik Lundqvist.
Good goaltender.
I know. The poor guy, he really played with passion, okay? And he was really the team, and he needed to get that Stanley Cup, but he didn't get that Stanley Cup, did he?
Not all do.
But he got more than the cup.
Well, you know the good thing about...
He got more than the cup. What's that?
Well,
Can you answer?
He won the Vezina. He's a good goaltender. And he won the... I think they were the gold medal champions at the Olympics too, weren't they?
He won the hearts of all the New York Rangers
you know,
fans and more, in his heart issues with his aorta. It's just so heartbreaking, but I called it. He will tell you. I used to write to him all the time doing my videos. He knows all about it. I called it. That he was going to be on television doing interviews or, you know, doing commercials, and it just all happened for him. And we have yet not to meet. Do you believe this? We have yet, and I've had opportunities to meet him, but it just hasn't happened yet. And when that time happens, I don't know how it's going to go, but it is going to be, because I am the original Lady Ranger. I started Headway. I started LadyRanger's Library. I started many more. I have many more. I have the radio. New York Rangers radio, just a whole bunch of things. I was interviewed. I had nicknames for all of the New York Rangers that were my favorites at the time. Now, who is the player that's on the Rangers? It starts with a K. Can he do it? The New York Rangers player that starts with a K. He's a fast skater and he scores. KR, KRE, KREI, D, Chris Kreider.
I think JT Miller is they just,
JT Miller.
They just traded for JT Miller. If there's one player that's going to change the luck of the Rangers this year, it's going to be him. Because if you watch him in the fourth team cup there, he was just as tough as Tkachuk. So I think JT Miller is a
Oh yeah, his name is big.
quiet little trade they made, got him back because they drafted him, and so they got him back. So he has the potential of being like Mark Messier. He can turn that dressing room into a winning dressing room.
But what I was trying to tell you that I had nicknames. So one of the nicknames I had for Kreider was the Keep. I named him the Keep, and I said that on the radio station in University in New Haven when I did the show with Paul Goslin live. I had all the nicknames, and Kreider was the Keep, the Keep, the Keep. And they did keep him, and he did score for the USA in the Canadian game that we lost. That was sad.
Well, he also the Rangers defeated the Montreal Canadiens in a playoff series a few years back, and it was Kreider that was doing the dirty work in front of the net. It was Kreider that was doing the body checking, and it was Kreider that scoring the goals. And the Montreal Canadiens didn't have an answer for that. And so sometimes a player rises to the occasion, and he's that type of player.
What is that on your hat? Would you look down, please?
That's a symbol for the Cleveland Guardians.
Very good.
Last fall, we went to the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. We went to a game in Cleveland.
Oh.
We got rained out, but it's a classy organization, so they gave us our tickets for free and fed us.
Well, this has been quite the interview. We're going on 17 minutes here.
Right.
What do you think of your husband with all this? I mean, do you like hockey? What do
Yeah, oh yeah, yes, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. He knows an awful lot about the game and history of the game, so yes, yeah, quite knowledgeable, can remember lots of information,
Yeah.
unlike me.
All the guys and girls in our neighborhood growing up, I'm talking, when we were 8 years, I should say when I was 8 years old and up, we played pond hockey. And I was very fast, and I was very good at pond hockey. And I loved it. And I played for a long time on that pond in the neighborhood with the boys and girls. One day, I was down on the pond and we were all skating, and I fell through the ice. And my leg went down, and I was like, oh, no. And I was holding on. I was holding on to the top of the ice. I did get pulled out. That was a very bad experience, but I still got back on the ice. And there was a pond in the neighborhood and a lake. And I really loved it. I could have been a professional ice hockey player. I could have been a professional basketball player. Like anything to do with sports, I was always but I got into music, and but anyway, here I am in Florida, sunny Florida, and I want everyone to know that when they give you the temperature in Florida, it is done in the shade. So when they say it's 68 in Florida, it's not. It's 78 and more in the sun. Now today it should be about 82 in the sun, and it's less. Because this morning when I woke up, it was in the 60s, which meant it was in the 70s. So now I'm going to give you I'm not saying where I am. It's a secret. It's a secret. Woo. There's dolphin out there. I got him in the morning. Okay, thanks for your very interesting interview. This is all happening by accident. I loved it. And you will be on Get With The Program. Look for it. All you have to do is go to YouTube and look for I don't know what I'm going to title this. I might title it Hockey Talk.
Sure.
By Get With The Program, Deborah K. Levi, and you'll be on. You have now become a star. People are going to look for you, but they won't be able to find him. I'm sorry, you'll have to talk to his agent.
Dear John.
Dear John.
It's a Dear John interview.
Okay. How many years have you been coming to this place here?
This will be our 4th year.
And you love it?
Yes,
Oh, yeah.
yes.
Okay. Take care, all. Get with the program.
Hey, you have a good day.